Welcome to Faith Exclusive Podcast, Episode 1, where we discuss topics that challenge you and assist in finding the solutions for a better outcome and a way forward. I'm your host. Today, we'll be talking about boundaries, character, and integrity in a world that is changing rapidly, where you are encouraged to express yourself freely. Our disclaimer is a reminder that this podcast should not be taken as legal counseling or advice. Information on this podcast is for inspiration, and we cannot be held liable for information included in this podcast. Do not rely solely on the information shared, and if you do, we will not be held liable for such reliance. This podcast isn't a substitute for professional advice. We are not a professional and reserve the right to change the management of this podcast. The content is opinionated and the terms of use are to the best of our knowledge. Let's get started. Depending on what generation you were brought up in, your view of boundaries, character, integrity, morals, and values may vary. Currently, all generations are living in times where you are encouraged to express yourself freely. My question to you is, what does that mean? Does it mean that whatever thoughts come to mind, you entertain them because you can? Should you live with boundaries that tell you how far you should go? Boundaries are those invisible lines that you just don't cross no matter what you've decided to do. The grandparents of previous generations would say that there are just certain things you don't do. You knew how far you can go without crossing the boundaries of being wrong or unethical. Being governed by character and integrity sets the measuring stick for accountability for oneself. Your character is the morals that help develop your personality, while integrity drives the principles you live by. Has culture birthed a no boundary, no accountability environment where nothing is wrong anymore? If the mind can conceive it, it's acceptable? A culture without rules. If so, where will this lead the country, and what condition will the nation be left in? Let's give thought to this and what this means for everyone, young and old. If you are just joining, this is Episode 1 about the effects of boundaries, character, and integrity in a rapidly changing world that's encouraged to express itself freely. How free can you be? And how damaging is this to a generation who's being conditioned or taught to live to a certain degree without restraint? Were you raised in an era where you knew right from wrong and there were invisible lines that governed your decisions and how you chose to live? Were you taught to respect others, exercise manners, and don't do it because you can? Depending on where you find yourself in this discussion will determine how you think the country should move forward. Can this country be led into alignment where boundaries and accountability are exercised once again, or will things spiral out of control? Boundaries will assist in maintaining healthy mental health, increased focus, and a sense of identity in a world where identity is based on society and social media. Boundaries help protect what matters most to you and what you allow in your psychological space. It also makes room for healthy relationships. It helps the sustainability of morals and values. Having boundaries brings awareness and makes you a priority in your own life. It brings clarity to what you will and will not accept. It's an opportunity for discussion. Character and integrity will allow those you interact with to know if you are trustworthy. It's a reflection of your behavior. How was it for you growing up? Did you have a set of rules that governed your behavior? Were there times when you wanted to do something but your morals told you no? Your character is the guardrail that keeps you within the boundaries of respect for yourself as well as others. You are responsible for holding yourself accountable when no one else is looking. Now think for a minute, has the country lost its character, integrity, morals, and values for life, each other, and rearing future generations? Do you think the nation is too far gone in the wrong direction? Is there a such thing as good manners? Where do you find yourself in all of this? If you are just joining, this is Episode 1 about the effects of boundaries, character, and integrity in a rapidly changing world that's encouraged to express itself freely. Today's podcast is about reflecting on how things are changing, and within the changes, has your self-respect decreased in any way? How is it affecting you and future generations? Where is this country and nation headed? Where is the more mature generation that held the younger accountable? It's something to definitely think about. I hope you enjoyed episode 1, and it was a pleasure having you with us. That brings us to the end of this episode. We appreciate your listening ear during our discussion regarding boundaries, character, and integrity in a world that is changing rapidly and where you're encouraged to express yourself freely. We hope this ignited something in you that provoked your curiosity. As always, we welcome you back and appreciate your listening ear here on Faith Exclusive Podcast.